Hello!
What's up, guys? MB Drifts podcast number 3 coming at you with
Marshall!
What's up, guys? Zach. And we have 2 guests today. We've got back for the second time, we've got
Devin.
And next we've got
Stacey.
What's up, guys? How you guys doing today?
2 of our regulars.
Yep.
Pretty good.
MB Drift regulars in the house. Just wanted to say, what's going on, Marshall?
Not much, man. A little bored staying at home with all this corona stuff going on.
Yeah, same here, man. Just kind of working on the cars. I'm sure these other guys have been working on the cars as well, getting everything going, I don't know, I guess since Stacey's at it, you want to we'll get some info from him, get kind of like a background and history about what you've been doing and what you drive,
Okay. I drive an 88 Nissan 200SX with a K24 DET in it. Just S13 suspension. Just now got an angle mod thanks to Devin.
Right on.
Got it cool.
I love the KA. Yes.
Y'all like truck motors.
Love. Yeah, I definitely am still a KA fan. I ran it for quite a few years myself.
Yeah, Marshall did for years and years and years, man.
Mine had got up to 17 pounds and 429 horsepower on the dyno with a fully forged internals.
Nice, man.
We'll get there one day.
Yeah.
Getting there. Well, that's good.
This is like about your background and stuff, the racing history and stuff like that. I guess, as all of us, where'd you come from, man?
Well, I'm originally from Asheville. My dad used to circle track race, so I guess that's kind of how
Heard
I
that.
fell into racing now.
Awesome.
So, I've been drifting for about 2 years now.
Right on. What do you think about drifting? Like coming in from a different racing world. What are your likes about drifting? What makes it so, I guess, interesting to you?
I like the fact that everybody's competitive, but yet still friendly. They're willing to give
Most
parts
definitely.
to whoever just to keep it going. Let
Oh,
you
yeah.
borrow cars, everything.
Oh yeah.
That's right. We've
Cool
seen
people.
that over the years plenty of
Yeah, I
times,
know.
right?
I was gonna say, I know you'd agree with that. At times I almost think about bringing spare parts, just a box of parts, just to keep at the track, so that way anybody needs anything, hey, here you go.
And
I might
then
still do that.
loaning cars out too. He
Oh,
mentioned that, and we've seen that plenty of times over the years. Joe, the season he won his championship, actually never used the same car twice, I think.
Yeah, he didn't even drive his own. Oh, I think he drove his car maybe one time.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't even know. Even we called him the leech of the beach, man. He won the championship and didn't even drive his car the whole time. Every car he drove was different.
Yeah, he
Which-
might have
which
done
Joe?
a single
Joe
run. Joe
Gorsesky.
Gorsesky.
Gorsesky, I'm
Yeah,
the leech
man.
of the beach.
Leech
I'm
of
gonna
the
call
beach.
him that now.
Yeah, there's some things back there, man. He had and I remember some cars he'd have to even work on to get them right, like do on the fly alignments and stuff like that, fix things. People would be like, "Oh yeah, man, you can use it, but it needs some work," and you're like, "Oh."
Yeah, sometimes he had to share a car with somebody who was competing that day too. So if they ever had to go against one another, he would have had to have forfeited. But I don't think
Yeah.
he ever.
Never happened.
Yeah, he got lucky on that side of it.
That's wild.
So what else, man? What else you like about the old drifts? I don't even know. I was trying to come up with something clever, but it didn't work.
So you've come to Myrtle Beach, you've enjoyed the atmosphere and everything, and you've also done some of our, not only the drift events at the Speedway, but also some other events at the Speedway, right, that involve drifting. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, done the monster truck show.
Okay.
Pretty fun
Yeah.
doing that.
That's
Big
one of
crowd,
the-
what was
large
fun
crowd,
about it?
Yeah, that was one of the best things ever. The monster truck
That's
show
a big crowd right there.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I think the
Yeah.
fact that it's being able to put a show on for the kids and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that does make a difference, when you got the kids and you got a different fan base than what you normally do have. Because a lot of people see drifting and they're like, they already know what to expect. But when you get that new fan base or the young kids, they're like, "Oh man, what are they doing? This is crazy."
And then they come up to you and they're like, "Wow, the drifting was better than the monster trucks. We've never seen this before. We love it."
I know. I'm sure you signed a couple autographs that day at the monster truck
Yeah.
show. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's pretty cool, man. It's
Yeah,
fun.
just a little short window of drifting there, but everybody seems to love it, and it's a lot of fun. You're out there on track, hot lapping during the time that you have, and then everybody's excitement that come and said, "Wow, I love to see you drive out there."
Yeah, and then speaking of that, for us seeing you drive, you come a long way in the last year
Oh,
or
yeah.
so.
A lot of progression.
Man, yeah, like I feel like once you had some hiccups, which all of us do in the beginnings of getting your car built and working and ready and all that stuff. But I mean, as far as it goes, you've come a long way as far as being in competition and stuff. I know we always used to have a lot of battles, and it'd be one of us would choke, one way or the other. So it's like,
Yeah.
dang. But for me, like I've said in the past, it's the thrill of being out there with your buddies and having fun and driving. So I wish you a lot of luck this next coming season, because I know you're definitely going to be
Yeah,
a
and you
force to reckon with.
also have to always juggle you're learning, you're getting better all the time, and you have mechanical difficulties that can take you out, even if your driving skill could have taken you farther. Every now and then you have those car problems that throw in a wrench into things that kind of either make it more difficult to move to the next round or get to the top level or anything like that. So
Yeah. So speaking of that, you were talking about the KA. What do you got done? It's built, or it's just a stock block car, or built bottom end? What you got?
It's just
done to it?
built bottom end.
Built
Works
bottom end?
pistons and
Oh,
rods.
Just a built bottom end.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, you never know. Looks can be deceiving. You just have like a little T25 or something, just look like mine, like a little stock block car, but so.
and
Nice.
how many pounds of booster are you running?
10 pounds.
10 right now. Okay.
You're on a T3, T4, right?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. See, we're getting somewhere. Getting the secrets out. All right. Yeah. But no, definitely.
Put him on the spot. And
Sounds
get that
good.
information out.
Yeah, it definitely sounds good. It does have that unique sound from the manifold Joel made for you. That definitely throws a unique sound. It kind of has that SR sound to it, but again, you want to try to fool some people. They're like, "Oh man, a KA, right on." Because I'm one of them dudes, man. It's like I'd rather see a KA. Now, obviously, swaps are awesome, but the way I look at it, why not just do what it is? Keep it all stock. You always have parts for it. You don't have to do any kind of like crazy transmission adapter plates to run like a CDO9 or something like that. Or
But Zach, that's what's fun.
it is fun.
It's so much fun having to try and find parts all the time because nobody else has them.
Hey, well, you do like you do. Just make your own,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was saying those same things 15 years ago when everybody said, that's a truck motor, it's terrible, you should get rid of it, it's junk. People would sell fully running KAs for $150 with 60,000 miles on it because it was trash.
And now look at them. Turnkey swaps are going for like $800-900
Yeah.
for a KA, man. Come on.
It's more than an LS 5.3.
Yeah. Definitely. Devin, you got your car almost done too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've been working on this week because of the coronavirus. I've been at home. I've been working from home for a month, and this week I'm all the people who work for my company are all taking a vacation. So I'm 4 days of vacation means it's 4 or 5 days in the garage, and I have an A86 with a Beams 3 SGE in it.
Nice.
And I'm adding a Blitz supercharger to it, which has been real interesting because the supercharger is meant for the Beams, but the Beams engine isn't meant for the 8.6. So I had to do some like crazy stuff with my motor mounts and one of the supercharger mounts to get it all to fit. But that's all done, and now it's just wrapping up, redoing some of the wiring because I've had this swap running for 4-ish years now, and I got the wiring harness done and put it in the car. The car ran great, and I didn't worry about it. Then as I pulled the engine back out to do the supercharger, I'm looking at my wiring and going, "This is kind of haggard. I should probably tidy this up." So I'm going through and fixing a bunch of stuff, and it's with the engine bay painted. I painted the engine bay with the engine out. So as I've done that, I'm trying to clean everything else up to try and make it look real presentable. So it's taking a little bit more time.
It's got some sick coilovers on it too.
Yeah, I've been running Megan
Remote
Spec RS.
reservoirs.
Yeah, Megan Spec RS coilovers. They got the external oil reservoirs, so they're pretty sweet. I like them a lot. They've held up to drift abuse for 6-ish years now, so
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I feel like that's pretty good. And I used to street drive this car a lot too, so to have 6 years of street use and drift use, I mean that's probably over 100 drift events and.
See, that's the key to getting quality parts. You get some cheap stuff, man. You already blow the seal right out of it.
Yeah.
It's like first pothole, especially at Myrtle Beach. You hit that grate.
Oh man.
Bye coilover. Bye a lot of things.
Yeah.
So what size rims are you running?
So I run 15-inch wheels. 8.6s one of the problems with drifting in 886 is like you can't run very aggressive alignment settings just because you run into clearance issues with the wheel wells and with the fenders and with the bumper and everything. It's a huge pain. So I used to run 14s and now I run 15s so I can get better tires. And this year actually Kenda started making the KR20 in a 15, so Stacey and I ordered a bunch of those because he runs 15s as well.
Nice.
So we'll be able to share tires and wheels and all that stuff. So
Yeah, I was gonna ask too with with a lot of your stuff's on the 8.6 being in an S12 chassis. What are some things that you've come into to find like that? I guess some things that have really made drifting a little more difficult than it should be as far as adjustments and setups and stuff like that, making little jumps and stuff you had to go through to.
Well, the front's not too bad, they just threw the S13 stuff in it, but as far as the rear, you gotta pretty much swap the whole subframe and
Yeah, as you mentioned earlier, yeah.
and stuff, so.
So you gotta do just pretty much make your own mounting points in it, and everything else kind of fits up snug.
Yeah.
Right on.
So have you done that now? Do you have the S13 rear subframe in?
I just about have everything together
You're working
for
on
it.
it. Okay, great.
Yeah, because you
And then
got
of course-
another chassis to get the parts off of for the parts car, or S13 chassis, correct?
Yeah.
Get all that stuff off on. Right on, man. Right
And
on.
now you guys together are part of a team as well, right?
Yep, Unsung Legends.
Okay, nice.
Oh, tell us a little about that. That sounds pretty good.
So Stacey and I started driving together last year. It was like at Nopi, I think, is really where we found our groove. And as we were talking about, it was
hold
kind of
up.
what?
I gotta put my mask on if you're gonna be.
Oh, okay. We found our groove at the Nopi event last year, and as we were talking, the S12 is a pretty unconventional drift car, and the 86 is unconventional now. It's not a common drift car anymore because they're getting expensive, parts are hard to find, they're really using the aftermarket support. So as we started to talk about starting a drift team, we ran through a bunch of different name ideas, and we wanted something that really had meaning for not only us as drivers, but also of our cars. An unsung legend is kind of like what our cars are, right? They're pretty. I mean, we drive them pretty good. They drift pretty well, but people don't drift them anymore. So that's kind of where the name came from. And then, Stacey's putting all this S13 stuff on his car, and I could do that with my 86, but I'm trying to keep it as much 86 DNA as possible. But I have other parts on there, like I've got a Volvo rear axle and stuff. And Stacey acts like the S13 front stuff is really easy on the S12. It takes a little bit of work.
Research and development there involved.
Before last event, you cut some knuckles and made some knuckles and extended lower control arms for him and stuff like that. I'm sure. I mean, it looked like you were throwing down out there, so it looked like it felt well. What were your reactions to? Could you huck it in there a little harder and have that angle to compensate and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's amazing the difference.
Yeah, because I'm sure with the regular S12 front end, man, you don't probably pushing maybe 30, 40 degrees of angle, maybe
Yeah.
something like that. I'm sure it ain't much.
It's constantly
Having
playing with the wheel.
Yeah.
And that limits how much angle you can do and how much correction you have to. If you make a tiny mistake, you can't catch it as easily if you don't have the angle to make it.
Yeah, a lot of people talk trash on angle kits, but really it's how do you use it? If you use it now, when I had one back in the day, I would just throw lock to lock to lock to lock. Well, it was cool, but realistically, how fast was I going? Maybe 6 miles an hour at times.
Angle stalling all over the place.
Yeah, coming up to the wall and just crab walking it, blowing the tires off. Yeah, that's cool and stuff, but it's more of using it for that insurance, so you can huck it in there a little harder, and then have that that lateral momentum to let it slide into the corner more, so therefore you can carry more speed throughout the apex of the turn is the way I would look at it, but just using it wisely. So that's why I was kind of going to get your opinion on it, if you were just kind of drove like you were used to driving and then just kind of use it to compensate a little bit when you kind of overshoot it, or using it to throw it in a little harder or whatnot. So
yeah, I basically just drove the same as usual. Of course, I threw it a little bit more
to
see what it would do and how it
right
felt.
on. That's awesome, man. Kudos to Devin.
So you've got one event in with the new angle kit so far, right?
Mm,
Waiting to get another one.
yeah, I can't wait for another one.
We still got to adjust some things with it. This was the first set of S13 knuckles that I'd modified, and I didn't realize how big of an issue bump steer was going to be. And that was one thing that we realized, like the first time Stacey chucked the car coming out of the chute, like the steering wheel's all over the place just because he was getting bump steer like crazy, and so he had to figure out how to limit angle a little bit more. And he may not realize how much faster he was moving, but he was, I mean, it was amazing how much speed he picked up.
Looked great outside the car for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's, you know, when I talk to people about angle kits, I think it's really good for people to learn without an angle kit, because then they're not relying on that angle to save the car, right? The sweet spot, it seems like, with drifting is usually like just before full lock. And so when you don't have an angle kit, you got to figure out how to not, over angle and keep it right there in that balance. But as soon as you get, angle modifications, then you can blow past that sweet spot a little bit, or you can move your sweet spot around and figure out where you want to carry angle with. And I think that's what worked out so well for Stacey. He's able to carry a lot more speed because he has room to correct now that he has more steering angle, and the little bit more angle he's got, he can carry more speed through a corner. It was really cool to see how his driving evolved throughout the day. He says he was driving about the same, but no, it was. I watched every single lap.
Yeah.
It gets better and better and faster and faster and faster. It was so cool.
Yeah, and we've still got those people that have mad angle kits, and sometimes that they throw too much, and it slows them down, and it actually hurts them in the competition.
Yep.
It slows down their speed so much that it creates a gap when you're following,
Guilty.
or it lets the person catch up too much and be right on your door when you're leading.
Yeah, see, I wish I had the same setup I had before when I had mega angle with power versus being a Naka, because that's really what kind of slowed it down a little bit too. Like I would like to be like you said about Stacey here, just having more speed and stuff to like have that same setup and be able to just throw it in harder and see what it'll do.
Yep.
Do some backies, as they say.
So speaking of your car, Zach, we haven't really talked about our cars in these first couple episodes. So for those that don't know, why don't you tell us about your car?
Well, I guess I have the cookie cutter drift car, S13 hatchback. Pretty much built it. I don't know. I kind of took everything from another car. I had everything in my first car, which was a Naka car. I kind of swapped it over to another shell, and then as I was swapping it over, I decided to do a turbo kit on it. So I was running a K824 DET. So basically, with that, I got a RS Enthalpy ECU. And then kind of built my turbo kit around that, because I was laying in bed and I was like, all right, and then I saw it come up on one of the forums and I was like, man, I had this idea, so.
Forums, man, that's back in the day. That's a throwback.
Well, I guess Facebook group. I saw,
okay.
Facebook group.
I was about to say that you're talking about forums. You must be an OG.
Back in the day, yeah, man, that's all there was forums. Jeez Louise. And now you try to go back and look for information, half of it's gone.
Yeah.
With the photo bucket crash.
All the questions are from 2015 or 13 or something.
Still very informational, man.
Yeah.
Very, very informational.
Still there.
So, I was just Facebook group, saw ECU, and I was like, man, T25, 370 injector, N62 MAF. Joe G has all this stuff. Let me hit him up. So I was like, hey, man, you got this stuff? Let me get it. He's like, yeah, man, you can have it. Because at that time he was swapping over to LS3, so he had all of his SR stuff he was just trying to get rid of. And at that same point, I think that was about maybe like 3 months before we had to move out of our shop when somebody bought the property and whatnot. So kind of acquired all this stuff from him, and then bought, like, I think the turbo I got was like $118. Still rolling, no shaft play.
Nice.
Pretty, little cheap guy, but I'm like, well, if I blow it or something happens, I ain't got that much money into it. So realistically, I had maybe like $700 into the build. Most of the money that I had to spend was like intercooler kit. So I guess let me just run down. Yeah, stock block, KA. I got a T25 cold side, T28 hot side.
Head gasket.
Yep.
Stock?
Nope. That was the first thing to go, man. I was like, I'll be fine. Because I knew I threw a Velcro in it, so I was like, I'll be all right. Nope.
They used to think that back in the day.
Yeah, that's like, 14.
I never believed that.
14 pounds. Well, I don't know what happened, but I hit 10.
Yeah. Supposedly they're
It's
good
like
to
12,
15
and it's
pounds
like-
is what they said back in the day, but
Yeah, man.
not always.
Didn't do that. So
Head
pretty much-
studs?
Cometic head gasket, ARP head studs, reused twice, by the way, for those of y'all that want to know. Because I did have to change. I blew up one motor, so Is with that.
I've done it.
Yeah, always check your fuel lines, man. Pretty much the fuel filter fell out of the thing, kinked the line, leaned out, blew the side, got detonation, blew the side of the piston off.
Oh man.
You know, so.
I blew about 3 or 4 Ks in my my car's lifetime.
But the best part about it is I had like 3 other blocks laying in the shop, so I was like, all right, let's go ahead and put another one in. So yeah, just T25 RSM will be head ECU, Cometic head gasket.
You mentioned
$100 exhaust manifold, pretty much. Like I said, man, $700 in it.
angle kit,
Yeah, angle kit,
suspension.
suspension. I got some pretty much what is that? EM USA's up front,
Okay.
and then
They've been doing
got
that
the
for you too.
teams in the back. Yeah, they're pretty good, man. I tried to adjust the suspension I had on there. They were seized up, so I stole them off another car I had, another shell I had. So with that,
Okay.
pretty
You got
much.
the purple livery with
Yep.
Decepticons
Purple
logo.
livery, Decepticons on it. My colors are pretty much bronze and purple.
Soon to be a little touch
Yeah.
of cream.
Soon to be purple and green. Got that. C-Ray's got our wheels down there, so you know he's gonna powder coat them up.
What's up?
Doing that purple with the wheels. Just recently finally got a pig nose lip, so I run the pig nose front bumper. Got the lip on there. Put a rocket bunny wing. Swapped hatches over from my other car because the hatch that I had on my car was like pretty much it was holeless. So you know how much those go for a good penny. So I want to save that. I'm not going to drill holes in that, man. Save that up. And that's pretty much about it, man. It's been smashed about every way you can smash it. Shaped like a banana.
Yeah.
Bent subframe
Me too.
up front.
Bent subframe. Oh man.
Yeah, bent subframe up front. Had to replace the rear subframe that was bent. So I swapped subframes and then put like solid bushings and stuff in there. Made a difference. So I'll tell you that.
bushings too,
Oh,
yeah.
I also run a 4.9 rear end instead of the classic, was it a 408 gear is what the stock 240 comes
okay.
with. So
Gear ratio.
Yeah, gear ratio,
9
yeah.
gear in the rear end, which I
I thought you
kind
were
of like.
saying you were running a 9-inch Ford rear end.
Oh
I was like,
no,
"Whoa."
yeah,
4.9. Yeah, not Ford 9.
no, I don't know why I feel nervous talking about my car. Man. Well, yeah, with that,
Yeah,
the
she
gear
throws
set.
down out there. throws
Yeah,
down good
because
smoke.
a lot of times with the stock 240 gearing, it's really good for Myrtle, but to really drive Myrtle in the manner that you need to drive it, you're just banging rev limiter the whole time. And so I'm like, the RS Enthalpy ECU, it's banging like 7,300. We all know with a stock block KA,
Some truck
Yeah,
motors really don't like to
Questionable at
rev.
73,
I
yeah.
mean, you got long strokes, so what's that already tell you? You don't want to rev the crap out of it.
Big
I think they, most of them redline. I think most of them redline at like 65, 68, maybe $7,000 or something
Almost
like
7,
that.
yeah.
But I banged it off like 73. Then I got the BR rev limiter on there, so it's shooting fire. A lot of people say it's bad for it. I really don't care, man.
It sounds cool.
Yeah, I got 2 more blocks. And then Stacey brought me another block, so that way I can start
Nice.
building the bottom end. But it's been like 2.5, 3 years beating the crap out of it.
Heck yeah.
Doesn't
So
even matter.
my car has gone, I've had the same car since 2001.
Oh, sorry, I got nervous.
So I might as well talk about that too. My car is a 91 Nissan 240 hatch. I ran KAT for a while. I ran stock block, stock head gasket, and blew a couple of those. I had T3 TO4E, the very first turbo I put on the KA. I was running 7 pounds initially, then I upgraded the head gasket and head studs, then started running 10 pounds. Still blew, after a while, a couple of them up, And eventually I end up with a fully forged internals, Arius pistons, nice rods, all the good stuff. And big cams. I did I didn't go to the 273s or whatever. I
Would
went
you
to
like a
264s.
264 is that?
I think that's what it was. Yeah,
Was it
stage
Kraut?
2 or whatever, Brian Kraut.
Brian Crowers?
Yeah.
There you go. Did you have to do anything to the head? Did you have to
Nope.
cut out the head? That's only for 272s, right?
Probably.
Yeah, we got clearance in the head for the
Yep.
You gotta do the same thing on a bunch of Corolla
Around, I
engines,
think.
too. So,
I think Nick had to do one of those. One
And
time.
they say that the power back then, I don't know if it's changed or not, but back then they said the power difference wasn't worth it for a KA, even fully built.
It was just for that lope cloud.
I guess
Yeah.
so. More of a
Yeah.
sound thing. But then, so I ran that for a long time, and finally, I was on the fence trying to talk about maybe doing LS style motor, and then Christy kind of pushed me over the edge, and I switched. And I got a 5.3 LS style motor. It's got the iron block, but that's what I wanted because I knew down the road that I planned to run boost.
Oh yeah, so that way you can have something accessible in case anything happens.
Yeah, so it's a
readily
lot
available. Yeah.
able to hold more heat and more power than.
You're saying running an iron block
motors.
versus aluminum.
Yes.
Yeah, I got you. All right, cool.
So I ran it NA for a while. I did all the custom work as far as running electric water pumps since day one. And now I've actually relocated the radiator to the back, so I found out that one electric water pump wasn't enough for that. So now I'm running 2 electric water pumps. I took the back window out of my carbon fiber hatch, and so get more airflow to the radiator back there and everything. And so now I'm to the point where I just upgraded the cam, and I just started the motor for the first time. Still hadn't put coolant in it. I have should be running. Still running, I think, 13 pounds of boost on a 87 millimeter turbo on
Nice.
the 5.3. And even before, it ran pretty good. I've never had it on a dyno, but it has, I'm guessing, in the 400 range before. So I'm hoping to be in the 450 range now. I do plan to put it on a dyno this time and really see what it's going to do.
So what'd you do, street tune it?
Yes.
Street tune?
Yep.
All right.
So I got a local guy that mostly does pick up trucks and stuff like that, but it's a truck motor, so, I went with that, and he's done a really good job for me, and I have completely beat the crap out of my car, and it's
you put the pedal to the metal on it, and there ain't nothing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, it runs clean, too. You never see it smoking or nothing.
Yeah.
Just.
It's a nice, safe tune. It's not super
It
aggressive.
does, and your car is very quiet. It's loud, but it's quiet.
It's got
sounds
a
like
big
a tractor.
turbo muffler on it.
It sounds like a tractor just.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, all right.
You hear more turbo spool than you do exhaust note.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
that's going to change a little bit with this cam because I was running a completely stock cam before. So it's going to be a bit louder now, especially with the existing 18 inches of exhaust coming straight through the hood. Now it should be a good bit louder.
Little more air in and out, so
Yeah.
kind of get some.
So it has a full 6 or 8 point cage or whatever, full FD spec cage in it. I've built my own angle kit for the car, and then decided to try the GK Tech
Oh, there you go.
knuckles. So they got the drop spindles and all that stuff. So that's what I'm running right now, and it's a really solid setup. Not quite as much angle as what I built myself.
Oh, really? Because I was about to ask how you like the GK Tech knuckles.
I love
versus-
how solid it feels and no binding, no nothing like that. But I didn't go with the full Pro kit, which I regret now. It could have got me a little more angle.
All right.
But other than that, I'm running 17 and 18 inch rims. I've got negative 12 offset front rims and 0 offset rear rims. And I've got picked up some 10 inch wide, 18 inch tires because 18s these days tend to be cheaper than 17s in my experience. You find a lot more deals on them.
Yeah, it
than you
seems
do on
like
17s these days.
anything smaller. Like I run 16s on mine, so anything really under a 17 is kind of getting hard to come by, man. Unless you go around Toyota, they got some 16s, but they run a lot of those on like Camrys and stuff. But
So I'm to
hard
the point
find
at
out.
my power level that I need 245s plus,
Oh yeah.
on 17s or 18s. And in fact, I've mounted up some 275 40 18s that I'm really excited to roast off and see, get that extra grip level compared to my power and see if, it holds in there. And
See
doesn't
how you feel about those is how I feel about running on a 225.
I'm sitting here going, man, I was
Yeah.
able to chase you down before when you were running the smaller tires. Now I'm not able to chase you down at all.
Yeah, a lot bigger contact patch,
Yeah.
stuff. But she's almost ready now, and I've actually picked up a little missile car as the Drift Wives car too. S14,
Yep,
RB20,
Talked about that a little bit. The
stock turbo, but inline 6-cylinder and RB motors. I'm sure a lot of you have heard me say that that's my favorite sounding motor. Obviously, the 25s and 26s are a little more power and all that stuff, but this is the
they
smaller
do.
version, the
It's-
little brother.
It's like the Mustang. It has a unique sound to it. You know,
Mhm.
you hear the Mustang V8. You
But
know it's a
you
Mustang
can't
V8.
beat the inline
RB.
6-cylinder turbos.
No, that's
though.
an RB.
Just like a JZ motor, you know?
Yeah,
Sounds so good.
they all have their unique sound. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes you know that who's driving by, or like sometimes pulling up to the track. You'll hear somebody out there running, and you're like, "Oh, I know who that is."
You can tell what kind of motor it is a mile
that
away.
motor, you're like, "Oh, I know who's running over there."
So enough about us. Now we need to talk about some MB Drift information here.
Oh yes, we do. You're absolutely right about
So
that.
first up, April 18th, not likely to happen. You know, everything's on lockdown at this point, so April 18th is essentially a no-go at this point.
Yeah,
And
'cause
May
what-
2nd is the next one.
Yeah, because today's the 7th, so that would be in 11 days, and they just now
Yeah,
put us on lockdown. Well, not even lockdown. We're not even on lockdown.
voluntary lockdown.
Voluntary lockdown. They just now did that. So the 18th ain't happening. So as Marshall said, May 2nd is going to be the next one at
So that's the
Horry
first
County
weekend of the Horry County Fair. Yeah. So that's gonna be pretty cool. As long as that goes through and things don't get pushed back even farther, then that's gonna be awesome because we're gonna be essentially the intro to the fair. It's gonna start that Friday, and we're right there on Saturday.
Yeah, and with that, they're going to be running to 11 o'clock. So it's a special treat for
Yeah.
cop number 1, 2, because we're going to run till
Late into the night.
10 o'clock.
Well after dark. Yeah.
So
10
hopefully,
p.m. shutdown on the
Yep.
hot track.
because the fair's going to shut down at 11, so we figure if we shut down, depending on drivers, what we got going on, we could shut down anywhere between 9 and 10, hopefully 10 at the latest if we have people driving. So bring a lot of tires, because you got to think.
That's a lot of seat time, and driving at night is like the best thing ever
Yeah.
too. So
That's pretty much.
We all got to get our strobes hooked up and on point.
yeah, during the
That's-
fair you gotta have party lights, strobes, and underglow, and all that
That's
stuff.
going to be 11 hours of potential drift time.
It's cheesy on the street, but on the drift track, it's fun as hell.
when I put the underglow on strobes on my car, it was like I bought it as a joke, thinking like, this is gonna be so funny. It would be like typical Ricer, all period correct, whatever. And I was making fun of myself, and then the first time I turned on, took a step back, I was like, oh man, this is so sick.
Yeah, it definitely makes it look good for those night events, especially. Like the Missouri,
Just
or like the
adds a
monster
little
truck show,
bit.
like we were talking earlier. It
Yeah.
just
Drift
has a little bit of
cars.
flair.
Your drift car is supposed to be flashy. It's too flashy to drive on the street essentially for the most part, but when you're on track and you're in the pits and all that stuff, there almost is no too flashy. So that's why strobes kind of really play into this when you have the opportunity to use them and you're going to drive at night.
Yeah, I got some. I'm actually putting one in the engine bay, so that way it's nighttime. I need to work on something. Cling cling. Yeah, I got some light.
Nice.
You'll be fixing your engine in slow motion with the flasher.
Yeah. Hear every click of the ratchet. It never moves. What happened?
Okay, some other exciting MB Drift news is today we got in our door placards.
Looking pretty cool. I have to
We
say.
got 10 door placards in today and 10 windshield banners, and both are awesome.
They look awesome. They're fantastic.
Yeah, I think they look pretty good, man.
Yeah.
Just like you guys said. I don't know. There's just something about it. I'm like, wow.
It's so exciting.
These, yeah, it's exciting. It looks good.
Like, I'm not even going to compete, but I'm putting one of those on my car no matter what, And definitely the new Drift Wives car, we're definitely putting a windshield banner and all
Oh,
that
yeah.
stuff on there, too.
Oh, yeah.
Even though, she's not going to compete or anything, but we're going to get Christy out there on track and have her drift and slide a little bit, too.
Good.
We still want to maybe do the Drift Wives TV show kind of thing where we have the Drift Wives come and the Drift guys try to teach the Drift Wives to drive. And essentially, the competition is going to be for the women. How well the guys did teaching the women to drive and drift for the first time.
We got Stacey's girlfriend Victoria here, and she's in the back. And
Yeah,
her eyes
yeah,
have gotten real
yeah.
wide. Yeah.
Just like, pick me.
I've seen
Put me
her
in,
drive-
coach.
Yeah, I've seen her ride in the passenger seat. Just.
Well,
But-
I will have another chassis for her, so.
There you go.
Yeah.
And she is so committed. She's at the track every time, and it's always a joy to see the whole Drift family. That Stacey and his family and his girlfriend and everybody, man, they embody drifting and making it a family affair, which
It is
we
definitely
really
a
love.
family affair with them. It's awesome.
So we also got a test run of Myrtle Beach Drift sweatshirts, hoodies.
Yep. I saw
So-
those looking pretty good.
Black hoodie, bright green MB Drift on the front. Looking pretty nice.
I know.
We got a good run of them.
Come probably like I'm trying to think October. Oh, that'd be perfect to bust out at Halloween Havoc. I can bust out the MB Drift hoodie for the first time once it gets cool.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go ahead and buy one now before they get sold out.
There you go. Good choice. And we'll do, essentially, if there's higher demand, we'll certainly do some pre-sales on those and get a big order going. If anybody else is interested, let us know.
Yeah, I would like to get one of those windshield banners. I'm gonna purchase one of those. I want to put that on my convertible, my daily.
There you go.
Put that on.
Help
there, so-
advertise.
Yeah,
man.
definitely.
It's a really sharp looking. It's got a nice background, and it's got the green MB Drift, and then the pink.
Yeah, that font that the pink is in looks real nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
So competition drift series listed on there too, and a
Definitely.
nice little background.
Definitely.
So before we wrap up, why don't we talk a little bit about this coming season when we finally get underway? What do you guys think as far as predictions for this year? Who's going to be the hot drivers? And
Yeah,
I know
These last-
Stacey's going to be
Yeah, I was
really
thinking-
good.
these last
Both these
two
guys are strong right here.
practice days that we had before all this stuff went down. There has been some phenomenal driving by drivers that just kind of they're great drivers, but something about this year, I don't know what it brought.
Yeah.
Everybody's level up higher, and everybody's just having more fun.
Yeah.
And they're like,
A lot of
wow.
people have commented on, how chill it's been this year and how fun
And I
it
think
is.
that elevates the driving spirit.
Yeah.
Everybody's just out there having fun and driving
More
harder
relaxed and-
and being more relaxed makes you can be a better driver because you're not thinking so hard on yourself.
And it's
Yeah.
more
A lot of
fun
us
to
do.
drive with your best friends, that you're closer with and all that stuff. Out there on track, you can get more comfortable with one another and really push your limits.
I know. I want to see the tandems this year are going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It's been cool to see a bunch of people that started kind of like mid-season last year, or I hadn't really seen until mid-season, and then this year, the first two events this year for the practice days, they've come out real strong, and people are forming these friendships, and so you get these kind of like unofficial drift teams that they're driving together, and it's every
Yeah.
single run,
Yeah.
3 or 4 cars, and it was so cool to see these guys having such a good time, because that's what got me into drifting, and like my favorite thing is being able to get people involved and to teach them what's so great about the sport, and seeing new drivers come out and they're getting seat time, they're getting better, and now they've got their group of buddies that they go drive with. Man, it's so cool, and I think that's what's not that MB Drift didn't have that before, but I think this year those relationships are really strong, and because of that, it's made things a lot more fun, and people are a lot more hyped up about it.
Yeah, and we always encourage tandem. We have for years and years and years. And so more and more, you're seeing more and more drift trains too,
Yeah.
More tandems, with 2 drivers, but also more 4 and 5 car drift trains, which is really fun and exciting.
Yeah, I
as
think
well.
this last event we had, man, let's think. Out of the chute, there was probably 2 or 3 different groups coming out in drift trains. Then when we were coming off the oval, it was the same thing. Those guys were just going nuts, and it's
Yeah. We've always been change the track all the time and do different things. We do repeats, obviously of things that we love, but we also try to push the envelope and do new tracks all the time. And this time we entered off the back straight. For those that had cages, they could drift the oval and link it to the infield. And those that didn't had to kind of drive the oval and then kick it as soon as they got to the infield.
even kicking it right there in the end was
Still
still
exciting.
a great time. Everything that you talk about with doing our tandems and stuff like that, we do all of our tandems. We try to we cage is preferred, but we do cageless tandems there, and that's one of the few,
Yeah, in
few
the
places
infield for
that
sure,
you can definitely do cageless tandems. Now, obviously, on the oval you need the cage, like you said, but
Yeah.
with that, with the competitions, we try to run, a lot of the same tracks and stuff
Right.
like that. But with practice days, that's when Marshall really gets creative and tries to think about different track layouts and stuff like that, so we can implement them in the competition later on in the year or something like that.
Right,
So,
yeah. Any idea that we can come up with, from any person, anybody, we always try to
Yeah.
at least consider it.
So don't miss out on practice either. Come to the comps and the practice, because that's when Marshall will get
Yeah.
creative. You can kind of see what's up.
You might try something you've never done before.
Exactly. I guess that's what I was trying to go for, was don't miss the practices, because there's always something interesting
Yeah.
thrown in there.
A little
Yeah.
bit cheaper too.
Yeah.
Save you a couple of bucks, but
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's more than just a practice. They're more of like bash days, whatever, because it's not necessarily like you're out there just to practice and figure things out. I try and go out there and help new drivers at the practice days and give them some tips or whatever, but there's also so much progression during those days, and you get all these big trains and everything else going on. You get these new track layouts that haven't been done before, so it's more than just a practice. It's honestly for me it's almost more fun on the practice days than the comp days because it's low stress.
Yep,
Low stress and
pressure at
good
all, no
times.
pressure.
And you're
Yeah.
experiencing new layouts that is expanding your abilities and preparing you for tracks that you haven't driven yet. you
Yeah.
know?
Definitely,
So,
just honing your skill.
so you might see things that might be similar to other tracks that you haven't driven, and since we're changing it all the time.
Yeah, your adaptability to course change is going to benefit from that, learning how to drive in different styles,
Sure.
So if you had one driver besides yourself who you would say you think is going to come hard, just from seeing the last two practices, seeing people drive, who do you think is going to come out hard?
That's a good question. There's a couple of guys with 350Zs that have been hitting it pretty hard. Bobby DeVito and his red Mustang, he's been doing really good. Stacey, I think, is going to kill it this year. Obviously, I'm going to support my teammate, but obviously, I mean, he's been doing so great even the last 2 years, and this season's really stepped it up with having more angle and everything. But yeah, it should be good. I think Bobby and Stacey are both going to be pretty big contenders this year.
Right on.
Stacey?
Kind of agree with Devin on Bobby. I think he's going to come out and do pretty good.
Bobby
He's
DeVito.
been killing it.
Yeah, see, that's I was gonna say. Basically, I was gonna say Bobby and you were who I was rooting for.
Yeah.
Another guy that I was thinking in my head was old Mario, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For a Naka, he
He's-
throws down.
He's got that Joe Love drive style, man.
And you can't
He threw
forget
some
about
flair on it.
Selwa either now. He got
Sel-
third place last year, so he's going to be coming back with a vengeance, I'm sure.
And he's one of those guys that if you want to battle the boss, he might be the boss. Man. Like you got it. You
Yeah.
definitely he throws very consistent lines.
Yeah.
And he's definitely going to give you a run for your money and make sure. So yeah, I didn't even think about Selwa. He might come from number one.
Yeah.
There's so many people, but
Yeah.
just stuck in my
yeah,
head. I
there's
guess,
probably like 10 more we could say,
Yeah,
too.
there's way too many.
Yeah. But I guess just off the last ones, the guys
Off the
that
top of
really
your head.
stuck out to me was like DeVito and
I-
Stacey and stuff like that.
I
So.
think that these guys like Bobby stick out so much because they're relatively new to the Myrtle Beach Drift Series, and when you think about people like Selwa, like he's been around for a while, so it's like he's not. I don't want to say he's like not exciting because he is, but he's always been there. He's been a staple, so he's already established. He's one of the good drivers. He's up there at
Yeah.
the top. But these other people that are up and coming is kind of like
Yeah, they haven't really made
A little
the name for
fresher,
themselves.
so-
yeah. So it's cool to see that. I drove with Selwa once last year, and it was a blast. He's such a good driver. Like I said, he's so consistent that it's hard to compete with that. It's hard to keep up with that.
And
So
every now and then, he's one of the ones that will unintentionally
I already know
put
what you're
in
gonna say.
too much angle and like slow himself down, which kind of ends up hurting him a little bit. But
yeah, that was when I was driving with him. I think that's what happened. Is it wasn't necessarily that it hurt him, but it hurt me because I didn't have that much angle, so I couldn't slow down that much. And I was like, oh no, what do I do?
Yeah, especially if you're behind somebody, you got a left foot brake,
Yeah.
grab the e-brake that kind of just scrubs speed as much.
sometimes
Yeah.
it helps him, sometimes it hurts him.
Yeah, he's got that wise fab on there, so he's got lots of usable angle on his car. It's really well set up.
It's definitely, it really is probably a wild card at this point. There are so many
Yeah,
drivers
you just never know.
that are going to come out.
We want to support your fans and your family and get everybody out there and really have a good time. We're having food trucks at all the events. Just having a great time.
Yep, always a good time. Always some good grub. So you,
All right, so with that, we appreciate all of you coming in. Stacy, Devin, Zach,
Oh, yeah.
myself, Marshall. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Woo!
Peace.
Yeah.